What's going on, everybody? It's the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And we're going to travel today. We're going to talk a whole lot of travel. We have Amy Gaule with Waymaker Travel. Amy, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Appreciate you coming and joining and talking about travel agent, destinations, and all types of fun stuff. So hoping to dive into a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, well, first tell us about yourself and how'd you even get into this travel industry?
Okay, so my name is Amy Gaule. I've lived in Monmouth now for 10 years. So I'm originally from Athens, Illinois, which is just a little north of Springfield, a tiny little town. I originally went through school and grad school to be an athletic trainer. So I am a certified athletic trainer, still hold all that. But then I had little kids, and being gone nights and weekends just wasn't working for us. So I kind of transitioned to this travel agent role. I've always loved traveling. I didn't travel much as a kid. I don't think it was as common as now. But then in adulthood, after I got married, my husband and I have traveled a lot. So I talked to my husband. I was just like, people are always asking, how do we travel so much? I mean, we don't make millions. We're not rich by any means, but we can travel. And I was like, why don't I start doing this to show people that, like, at any budget, you can travel. It doesn't have to be. Our first trip we took was $1,200 for both of us for an all-inclusive,
Whoa.
And people are like, how do you do this? I was like, let's start this. So I did the research. I figured out how to become a travel agent, and I kind of started up. It was literally decided it one week. The next week I joined. So
yeah.
How did you learn, though?
How to learn?
Yeah.
So there's different ways to become a travel agent. You can become independent and do everything on your own. So like get all of the insurance, get all the certifications, all of that. Or you can join what they call a host agency, which is what I did. So they kind of are a big agency that has all the education for you. So you pay to join them, and then they provide you with the education and everything you need, kind of, instead of trying to figure out all on your own. So I did that and did all the training through them. They hold seminars, they hold webinars, and then they hold in-person events that you can go and learn, not only how to be a travel advisor, travel agent, but how to best qualify your clients, how to pick the best resorts for the client, because the best resort is not the same for every person. Mm-hmm. So I did all that, and I'm still under them, so I still continue to do that, and launched my business, and here we are a year and a half later, and it's been great. I love it.
So is the Waymaker Travel name, is that yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Waymaker Travel is just me, myself, and I.
Right. Gotcha.
I'm the only agent with that company. I own it. So
good.
It's nice because then I can make the decisions. I don't have another person that we're kind of fighting with each other or telling people different stuff. Every time you contact Waymaker Travel, it comes right to me, and I'm the only person you'll talk to.
Well, and that's good. So, and also for you make the decision, like what direction Waymaker Travel goes.
Right.
You don't have to, run everything by somebody.
Exactly.
So that's great. That's
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
See, Victor makes me talk to him about everything before we do it on this show.
Yeah, so then
I'm
you
just
have an idea, and someone else is like, no.
I'm totally kidding. Kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great.
It is very nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Sometimes I like to get out, and I'm like, I need human interaction. So sometimes it's nice to get out and do things like this and talk to people, but it's also really nice just kind of going at my own pace in my home office. So.
Do you work with credit card points as well?
So I don't get any commission off that. So how this goes into how a travel agent works and how I make money is, say you book, let's just say a hotel room. So you go to the Holiday Inn and you book it. You can go book online, fine. Say it's $100. You can book it online, great. I obviously won't make any commission off that. Or you can contact me. I can book through my portal, my travel agent site, same price, and then the hotel will pay me commission. So it's not an upfront cost to travelers.
Yeah.
It's just that it's already built into all the prices. Same with resorts. It's already built in. If you don't use a travel agent, they just keep that money. It stays within Holiday Inn instead of coming to me. So that's how it works. Now, if you book with points, it's different because the credit card company just uses those points, and there's no commission built into the points. Mm-hmm. But I can still help people out. I help somebody out here in Monmouth book because they just don't know how to do it. So I'm happy to help with that. That's why I kind of started Waymaker Travel, to show people you can travel and to get over those little obstacles of, well, I have all these points and I want to travel, but I don't know how to do it. I can walk you through it. So I'm happy to do that.
Well, and the pro of that, both ways, they get a good experience with you. And then, there might be their next trip, they don't have points.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's great.
What's the main reason people get a hold of you to help them? Is it for them to find the best pricing, or more because they don't want to do the work of buying their tickets and booking their hotels and everything? It's more about their time, or more about being cheaper for them if you find the best deals?
I would say it's more just like it's overwhelming. So when
Okay.
you go looking for a place, say you pull up Jamaica, just because I was just there twice, and you want to go to a resort, well, there's hundreds of resorts. And you don't know, looking at them, all the pictures are going to look the best. All of the
Yeah.
things are going to look the best. You don't know which one is the best for you.
Okay.
So when you contact me, I'll ask you qualifying questions, like what's the most important to you? Is the beach most important to you? Or are you a pool person and you could care less about the beach? Some people, the food is the most important thing. Well, there's some resorts that food's okay, but not the best. And there's some resorts that food's great, but the beach is not the best. So when you contact me, I narrow that down usually to 3 to 5 resorts. So, and I'll send that to you, and that's a lot more manageable than looking at hundreds. So I think that's the main reason I think people contact me. It's not usually say, can you get this cheaper? I don't get that a lot because people
Okay.
Right.
people do understand that, like, not only do I help you book, then I send you your travel documents. I send you exactly where to go in the airport. Exactly, in the Dominican Republic, you have to fill out a QR code. If you don't have that QR code, you have to try to fill it out in the airport. Well, if you don't have internet, then you got to try to, because they don't do paper forms anymore. So I prepare you all for that, and then say you get to the resort and something is messed up. Call me, and then you don't have to spend hours at the front desk. You don't have
Okay.
to deal with all that. That's what I'm there for. So it's the whole process.
It's more about peace of mind.
Yeah, and there's anxiety involved with traveling. I still get anxious. I mean,
I'd
I
say I
travel.
do.
I travel all the time.
Yeah.
But still, like leading up to it, did I pack everything? What if I get sick? What if my kids get sick? What if my plane's canceled?
Okay.
There's a lot of things that people get really worried about, and that's where I come in to kind of help ease that anxiety. And it's a lot more helpful if you have like a phone a friend.
Okay.
Right.
You don't have to figure it out by yourself. You call me, and then I'll walk you through it, or
Yeah.
I'll call the airline, or
That totally
things like that.
appealed to me when I first met you and we were talking about that and some of the stuff. Like, the less thinking I have to do, for sure, the more interested I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And even to a point to pay, time is money.
Right.
And so even if I'm going to spend a few hours researching and doing all this stuff, like, I don't want to do that. I could be doing something else with my time where you already know this stuff.
right.
You've been to many of them, so yeah, that's that. And then to be able to, like, hey, we run into a pickle in the middle of this trip,
Yeah.
or on the way out, like, to be able to
Exactly.
reach out is huge for
Right.
me. That I would totally, especially traveling outside the country for the first time or going to some
Well,
of these places.
It's scary. It's a
Totally.
little overwhelming, but
Do you do more for international traveling? More?
I do. I do a lot of domestic. Recently, I've been doing a lot of like Florida, Myrtle Beach. Not everyone wants to leave the country, and Puerto Rico, because you don't need a passport to go there.
Yeah.
I just booked a trip to the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is also, you don't need a passport. But families are finding more and more, and myself included, that when you do an all-inclusive, when you go somewhere, and you can go somewhere like Jamaica where they speak English, if that's a big a big concern, you won't be able to communicate. But once you go there and you get your family there, like you're there. You don't have to get in a car to go to dinner. You don't have to drive anywhere. Also, you're like a hero, especially with kids. You don't have to say no. My kids have 9,000 smoothies a day. And it's like, I never have to say no. You want to go to the water park. So once you get there, everything is included. You've paid for it all. And it's really nice. So once you add it all up, a lot of times all-inclusives end up being cheaper than even like a Florida or a Myrtle Beach trip, just when you add in food and entertainment. And so I think that's why I've been booking a lot more, all-inclusive or international. But I do a lot of domestic as well, flights.
Yeah.
Some people drive. There's a lot of good places that people don't know about. Arizona, I've been doing a lot about. People want to go to those cool resorts kind of. So yeah, I do both.
Yeah.
And a lot of travelers don't do domestic. So you do have to be careful when you're looking at that, just because commission is lower. So I'd rather focus. But the whole reason I started Waymaker Travel is because I want everyone to be able to travel.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to see different places. And
Have you ever stayed at an all-inclusive?
Yeah, resort.
Yeah. So I never have, but it totally interests me when they were saying, like, you can just go get another steak dinner.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
Great.
most resorts are like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, food
Yeah.
included.
All- Yeah.
the all-inclusives, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you could just get another beer, another steak dinner.
Yes, so we would start, when we just went to Jamaica, we'd start at the buffet with our kids because they didn't want to wait. And we'd feed them and eat like appetizers. Then we would go to dinner and eat, and then we'd go find some ice cream, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's all included.
That's
It's,
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
great.
And then do they have like activities typically, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're by a beach and water and go
Yeah,
snorkeling.
most resorts
or-
include non-motorized water activities. So that includes like kayaks, paddle boards, snorkeling, banana boat, like stuff like that. They're included in that. So you can do all of that. Plus, some have water parks, some have beach volleyball, you have games, they have gyms, they have pretty much, if you want to be busy your entire vacation, you could do that. If you want to lay on the beach and never move, you can also do that.
Right. Or every other day, switch it up.
Exactly.
You know? That's cool. What would you say is here in the United States? What are some little nuggets of destinations in the United States that may be underappreciated, underutilized, or not?
Would you have a top 3
in the U.S.
destinations?
So it depends. You know, that's another thing, what you're looking for. If you really want to go to a nice beach, that's different than if you just want a nice hotel, or if you want somewhere that's kind of inexpensive. I think Myrtle Beach is really great. It's not going to be your fanciest destination, but it's going to be closer to options that like an all-inclusive. A lot of those resorts have slides, have little water parks at them, which is not common in other parts of the country. And it's less expensive overall. You can get some good flights or drive. I drove there with my kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good option. Another great option is Orlando. It's drivable to the beach if you want to be on a beach, but yet the resorts or hotels are a little less expensive there. And then you have Disney Springs. You have, if you just want to do like a SeaWorld, there's lots of different options there. If you wanted to do a day at Disney, you could do it. And like I said, it's within an hour of the beach. So that's a really great option as well. And then the third place, beach-wise, that's really popular is Destin. Yeah, beautiful beaches, drivable. You know, it's not as far as other places in Florida. Lots of fun activities, outlet malls, little putt golf. It's a lot of cool stuff. That's one of the most popular destinations I would say in this area is for people to go to Destin.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned Arizona earlier. What are some of those, like Sedona, Grand Canyon?
Yeah, Phoenix.
You know,
There's lots of really cool little places sprinkled throughout there for adults only or for kids. You know, you may feel you can do little like tents, you can do glamping, you can do big, huge resorts that are similar to all-inclusive that have like the water parks, the restaurants, the putt-putt, all in kind of with the most beautiful scenery around you. So there's lots of different fun things to do sprinkled in there.
Nice.
That's nice. That's nice. What's your favorite beach in the U.S.?
For me?
Yeah.
Man, I go to Florida regularly. My parents are snowbirds, so I mean, I've seen quite a bit of Florida even as a child. But I think in my own experience, the best time I've ever had on the beach would be in the San Diego, in LA area. I went there for a brief stay, and I think that was like, that's where I fell in love with the West Coast. And I actually looked. When I was leaving Illinois for college, I was looking at San Diego State. I visited San Diego, and I'm like, man, this place is amazing. And then I saw the cost of tuition and the cost of living.
It's not amazing anymore.
No, I said, well, we're somewhere,
the cost of living
right,
is crazy,
ridiculous. So I was like, I had to kind of think. I'm like, where's something cool and close to that, which was Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I ended up at Arizona State, which was much more affordable. Had a great time there, but what I loved, I still could drive to San Diego and LA for like a 4.5, 5 hour drive.
Right.
So you were able to go visit that pretty regularly. But
I'm always trying to get people to go to San Diego. For some reason, people are a little more hesitant to go to the California area, but it's, especially like with kids and stuff, there's some really cool stuff to do. There's Legoland close to that, which is
the San Diego Zoo.
Super cool,
is like, I mean, I've been multiple times. It's a place like no other.
It's a cool place, for sure. I've had a couple people visit and they loved it, but I'm always trying to plug San Diego.
What about you?
Well.
You have a favorite beach?
Here in the U.S.?
Yeah.
I haven't been to that many beaches in the U.S. I've been to Miami, and Fort Lauderdale, Deerfield Beach.
Yeah.
North of Miami, but I like Miami a lot. Miami Beach. It's nice.
I had a lot of fun in Miami too. The food is so good.
It's just not a family place, right?
You can just go a little north to like Hollywood Beach or Fort Lauderdale, and then you're perfect. And you could even fly into Miami if you wanted to. They're close enough to drive between. So.
Yeah, Miami was fun. Really, a lot of ethnicity there, and the food is just, I mean...
a lot of Brazilians there. I know a lot of people from Brazil that lives in Miami. Yep.
When I'm traveling, food is a priority to me.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely... Yeah, it is.
Number one. So
it's up there, honestly. I don't want to go somewhere and not have good food.
Right.
And, you're staying like an all-inclusive. You're at this beautiful place, and then you're eating some ridiculous, average meatloaf or something. I don't.
Right.
That just
So
doesn't.
see, that would be important because some resorts are just mostly buffets. So you wouldn't want to go a place that's like mostly buffets.
Right.
You would want to go a place that has more upscale food.
For sure. Yeah. And then what about like activities and stuff? What are kind of things that people seem to have interest in?
Nightlife, stuff like that.
Yeah. So other stuff. So nightlife.
Some people want
Concerts.
to. Some people want to leave the resorts or leave. So a lot of the times, that's a big question. Is with stuff within walking distance. Can I go?
Oh, yeah.
It's like in Mexico, the Playa del Carmen area has Fifth Avenue. So like if you want to leave the resort and you want to go walk, that's probably a better place for you, or the hotel zone, than to kind of go somewhere farther out where you can't leave the resort. But a lot of those places have fun stuff. Nightlife is important. I just booked a trip for all adults, well, adult parents and then their adult children, to Aruba, and that was really important to them to have somewhere to go at night. You know, some resorts and places do, you know, kind of quiet down around 10, and some people want to have more fun than that.
Right.
So that's a big thing too, to make sure if that's what you're interested in, that we're getting the right resorts for you.
One of them that you just shared that didn't require a passport, within the last day or two, I saw on your Facebook. But it had a casino on there, I think.
Yeah, so
right?
a lot of them do. That would not be included. So,
Well, right. Unlimited gambling.
but people think that. People think that. The casino itself, you can get in.
Yeah.
But then you'll have to use your own money to gamble.
No way someone
but-
really
I
thought.
No, they
Really?
do. They do.
Right.
They
So
do.
what, we can just play for thousands for free, right?
They do. But, you know, you just have to be very clear, because if you say all-inclusive, everything's included.
Right.
People... So, but yeah, some do have like casinos,
Yeah.
or have like one casino between 3 resorts that you can get to, or they have golf carts or shuttles or places like that. That's not super uncommon. A lot of them do have that. I personally have never done that because like I want to just keep my money and
Right.
enjoy the area.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of them.
So you just hit on another topic, Amy. Some 3 different resorts right there by a casino. So some of these resorts offer the capability of bouncing
Yes.
back and forth and getting different food. So why don't you hit on some of
Yeah,
that?
so I usually call those like a mega resort or a complex. So some of them have, say, 4 resorts next to each other, and they're different levels. So some of them, like if you stay at the lowest level, you can't visit the other 3. If you stay at the highest level, you can visit all of them. So it kind of just depends. The Iberia Star in Mexico is an example of that. So they have a water park at it, but only 2 of the 4 can use the water park. So you got to be careful of what you're booking. The one on the very end, the highest end, is adult only, and the adult only can go to all of the resorts. And then the next one can go to the 3 over, and the last one can stay. So it just kind of depends. But Barcelona is another example of that. That's a huge complex. You know, you're gonna need to take golf carts between shuttles, because it's too much. But you can, if there's lots of restaurants that way, there's lots of pools, there's lots of activities, you can see it all. Some people love that and want it all. Some people want to walk out of the room and have the little area. But it's a great option, especially if you have families that you just want them to be really busy all the time. Stuff like that is a great option. Royalton resorts also have something like that. They're usually not right next to each other, but they have exchange privileges. Reuse do the same thing. There's a lot of different ones that you can kind of hop back and forth.
Nice. Yeah.
What are some top destinations internationally
So
for Americans?
I would say the past year has been Mexico for sure. Easy to get to, a lot of nonstop flights. Pricing wise, it usually prices out the best. But over the last 6 months or so, people want to go other places. I've done a lot of Jamaica. That's a reason that I just visited Jamaica with a bunch of travel agents. I toured 10 different resorts, kind of just to see the resorts in person to figure out what's best for everyone. But I've done a lot of Jamaica. People like the island. They like the culture. They like the English that they don't, that's a big thing. And St. Louis just started some nonstop flights, so that's been a big exciting point for everyone. And Dominican Republic is probably 2 or 3 in there as well.
Okay.
It has some beautiful beaches. Dreams Onyx has been my #1 selling resort recently. It's a family resort connected to an adult-only resort, and you have access to both if you're adult-only. So it has a water park and stuff on the Dream side. You can stay preferred or like the club level, which would be less expensive than staying on Breathless. It all gets a little confusing, but I could walk you through it.
Sure.
But that's been one of the, I've seen multiple people there lately who have just absolutely loved it. So, and then I've sold Aruba a lot recently, you know. It's a little bit easier to get to just with a one-stop flight than it has been in the past. Pricing wise, it's pretty good. They do have a couple all-inclusive resorts, but also people like to stay the non-inclusive, rent a car, and drive island. And that's really popular there too. So,
are they all inclusive? Usually 1 week, 5 days. How does that work?
so I would recommend never going less than 4 nights.
Okay.
If you go less than 4 nights,
It's not worth it.
it's not worth it. You're traveling 2 of those days, and you get two days at the resort. So I recommend at least going 4 nights, and you get 3 full days at the resort plus your 2 half travel days, depending on when you fly. I like to stay 5 to 6 nights. Just personally, that's what I like to do. You get 4 or 5 days that way. But I don't really book anyone less than 4 nights unless they're just, you know, sometimes you can get a cheap if you just want a weekend getaway and you just want to, then I would book you a resort or a hotel really close to the airport. So you're not traveling, you're getting to the airport and you're 10 minutes away. Because otherwise, if you're driving an hour or plus, it's not worth it. And some people do. They just want to do a weekend stuff. Sometimes we can get that for $500-$600. So it's worth it. Some single people do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need a cheap. Yeah.
Well, that's why I love
That's
following
flight,
you.
resort, yeah.
She'll throw out deals of the day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you'll just say, "Hey, just book this," or "This is good for today." You
Yeah.
know, jump.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. And that's like, again, the whole reason I started is I want to show people that you can travel. I promise.
Right.
With any reasonable budget, I can find something for you.
Yeah.
So anywhere, like
It may
or-
not. Yeah.
Yeah?
So I'm leaving for Lithuania next week over in Europe. I actually have some people traveling at the same time in Italy and Germany. So I do that as well. It's, you know, that's a little tricky. We need to make sure you don't need visas and stuff like
Yeah.
that for those countries. But yeah, I do it all.
That's cool.
Everywhere.
What about Greece?
Yeah. So somebody going to Greece in October.
Yeah.
3 ladies, actually, a birthday, 3 ladies traveling together, and we did a package with them flying from 3 different locations. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So 3 origins, and then they'll meet together in, I think, Germany. I don't know. Meet together somewhere and then fly from there out.
Cool.
So yeah, I can do that as well. I can get
Yeah.
you from a whole bunch of different destinations, and Greece is super fun. And then I've had a lot of requests like recently for cruises, so I've been kicking that up a little bit more.
Have you done a cruise yourself?
I have done. So I did a Disney cruise with my kids.
Ah, yes.
Right before COVID. So in February of 2020, we did a cruise before the world shut down. Thankfully, we weren't stuck on that cruise
Right.
ship. And I'm going on another one here coming up in February of next year. But a good option, again, if you don't have a passport, as long as it's a closed loop, you start and end in the U.S., you don't need a passport. I still recommend it just in case if you're in the Bahamas, you're in somewhere and something does happen.
Right.
You have a way, you know, have a passport. We don't have to contact the embassy and stuff, but
Right.
it is not required
Nice.
to have a passport for a closed loop.
Do you do consulting with your clients to help them get a passport?
I can, yeah. So most people have them or know what to do, but I have people that, so recently passports have been taking a while. So one did not come. So what we had to do is if you're within 14 days of travel, you can go to U.S. Passport Agency. Now the closest one to here is Chicago. But if you do that, you can go and get a same-day passport. So they did that. They drove up to Chicago, they waited in line, and they got their passport.
I bet that's a long line.
Oh, yeah. You can try to make an appointment,
Yeah.
which I always recommend, but
Right.
sometimes that doesn't happen. And it has to be within 14 days. So
Right.
don't go if you're not within 14 days.
Right.
But as far as like getting the right documents, a big thing with children that parents need to be aware of is both parents have to go in person to get that passport. So you can't just have like a signature or have mom or dad and just one of them take them. Both parents have to be present with their IDs to get a child under 18 their passport.
Yeah, so I was talking with someone the other day. They were talking about a split family and like how much even more difficult that
Yes.
is because now you have to get the ex
Yes.
to get, right. You would both have to
Yes.
go, and Yeah, that's what they were telling me about that.
Yeah, so it gets a little hard. Hopefully both parents are cooperating and
Right.
understanding, and it happens. But
Can you imagine some of them, though, who do not get along? They're like, you're not going on the trip.
and that happens.
Oh, I know.
That happens.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
got to
some-
start getting brownie points
Yes.
with your ex.
Well, then
in-
we can
in
look
advance.
at like Puerto Rico. We can look at other places.
Sure.
You know, not necessarily going to be all inclusive. Some there are, but the same type of vibe, and you don't. But you just do also need to be careful if you're traveling solo with your kids. I always recommend getting like a note from the other parent, or especially if you have different last names than your child, just because, you know, you don't want to be stopped and be like, are you supposed to be taking your child out of the
Right.
country, or are you supposed to be taking them? I have never had it happen, but I do recommend that you get something signed or from the other parent, just in case. I've traveled with my kids without my husband and didn't have an issue. But
Now that you said there, what would be some of the stuff that families should, like a checklist before they travel? Something that's that usually people make mistakes that are very often made. What do you think would be things that families should follow a checklist before they go on a travel to not have some hard times?
Right. So if you're going internationally, make sure you have a passport.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't lose a passport. Keep it with you at all times. And then wherever you're traveling, I travel with a full pharmacy. Like every medication, I've never really needed any of them.
That's a good point.
But it's really nice, you know, and I take them on the plane. So I take liquid Tylenol for my kids. I put it in a tiny bottle and we take it on the plane, because you don't want to be on a 4-hour flight and all of a sudden your kid doesn't feel well or something and you don't have medication to give them. Or you don't want to be, especially at an all-inclusive resort, where you need medication and you can't get quick access to it. Or if you do, it's $30 for something. So I would say and I keep it in your carry-on. Don't check it, especially, you know, with kids. And even and I take a thermometer. I take all of that. Just, you know, worst case scenario, but it's just nice to have it and not have to deal with that. As far as when you're booking, look at flight times. So if you have a little kid that goes to bed at 8, you know, whatever, you want to be booking flights that are maybe before that. You want to be maybe at your destination by that time. You don't want to have super long layovers. You don't want to have 4-hour plus layovers with kids, because then you have to entertain them at the airport. You know, St. Louis has a little play place, but not everywhere has that. So layover times are really important. If you can do nonstop, do it. If you're flying and you have the option, split your children up. Do not put them next to each other, just because then you have fighting. You have, I wanted to sit there. I want to be a window seat. So I always sit. My husband has one child. I have one child. We're either in front and back or across. Then there's no fighting. There's no issues at that. Pick your seats. So a lot of people don't pick their seats, which is okay. If your kids are under 13, they're supposed to sit with an adult. Doesn't always happen, especially with Southwest, where there's not assigned seating. Sometimes you don't have that option if you get on the plane last and there's no seats. But if you don't pick your seat, you're not necessarily going to sit with your child or your families together.
Right.
So if that's important to you, do it. A lot of it's included, Frontier, Spirit. You'll have to pay to do that. So that adds up. Bring stuff to do in the plane, the car, snacks. You know, number one thing probably is to bring us snacks. Candy of all kinds. We bring water bottles and fill them up after you get through security, just so you have water at all times on the plane. Little packets of lemonade or something if they like flavor. Tablets. Screen
I'm trying
time.
to travel with Amy, man.
Screen time. This goes for adults too.
I know.
Snacks.
Yeah.
Drinks.
She's got 2 pages of checklist already.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's just, you know,
No,
don't
I
think
love
about
it though.
it. Yeah,
No, and that's the stuff, you know, when, like, that's what I'm talking about. I would end up on my first trip and I got my chapstick and my wallet.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And you don't
but
think about it, but it's, you know, when you need it, it's good to have all that.
Do
Yeah.
clients
For
usually
sure.
ask you about if their credit card will work in Mexico, or do you advise them to take cash? How does that work?
So most of the time you're going to want to take cash if you're doing it all inclusive, because a lot of these resorts, the employees, the waiters, everything, they live off tips.
Tips.
So if they're doing a good job, tip them. You know, like that's their livelihood. You can use US dollars. You don't need to exchange. So then you don't get like, well, how much am I actually tipping them?
Yeah.
Just take 1s and 5s and use that.
Yeah.
And then you need to travel with a credit card. Many credit cards have international they don't charge exchange rates. Some do, which it's not that much, like 1%. But a lot of hotels, U.S. and internationally, require a deposit. So when you're traveling, if you don't have a credit card or if you only have a debit card, make sure your limit's high enough that they can put that hold on it. They won't charge it, but it will go on a pending hold. And then when you leave, if you don't charge anything or you don't have destroy your room, then that will fall off.
I was a banker for a while, and one thing people would always forget to do is notify the bank or the credit card company that you are going to be in a place where you're not normally spending. Because a lot of times the bank will they'll say, oh my gosh, Victor's someone's got his card in
Mexico.
And they'll freeze it.
Yep.
And then so you're sitting there going, what the heck? You know?
At 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And you can usually do that from your app or anything.
Nowadays.
You don't have to necessarily call you. There's usually, when you get on your app, you can notify them where you're traveling, what you're doing. But yeah, that's important. If you have a credit card that is a travel credit card, you're fine. Which if you're going to travel a lot, I would recommend that.
Do most of these resorts have cell service? Like if we bring our cell phone, most of the places?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on what company. If you have a Verizon or AT&T.
Sure.
Verizon works in everywhere. They have Mexico, it's free. But if you use like data or anything, they actually anywhere, Jamaica, or when I go over to Lithuania, it's $10 a day. So when you land, if it's not in airplane mode, you'll automatically be charged. So keep your phone in airplane mode if you don't want to be charged. But if you land and it connects to data or anything, you're going to be charged $10, and that's for the day. And then you have, I think it's up to 2 gigs of data and then calls. So it'll work. What I usually do is I keep it in airplane mode. So turn on when you fly to it tells you to put it in airplane mode. Keep it in airplane mode till you get to the resort. Then you can use Wi-Fi calling. You can text, you can call off their Wi-Fi. It's not going to cost you anything.
Gotcha.
So
That's interesting.
Yeah. So one question I did have, I wanted to ask, what would be some misconceptions that people have for a travel agent? Like for me personally, when I first met you and you're a travel agent, I'm like, man, I thought that was like an industry that kind of just went away or was forgot about. Now that was just me in my own world. Obviously there's still people doing it and you have plenty of clients, but that was just something in my own misconception that they're still out here.
Yeah, so I would say the number one misconception is that I have chart that's going to cost you more. That you can do it cheaper yourself. That is not. And sometimes it is true. Sometimes you can find it, but usually I can price match. So give me a chance to, earn that commission if I can price match. If not, and it is cheaper, by all means, definitely, Or if you book with me, even though it's a little more expensive, then I'm with you the whole way, so it's worth it. But I would say that's the number one thing, is that there's a whole bunch of added fees in using a travel agent, which I get. It is confusing, like I could do the same thing, it's the same price, and yes, it really is. The second thing is that like you lose control. So a lot of people think, well, if I use a travel agent, I have to do what they tell me. I have to use the resorts they tell me. I have to, and if I send you 5 resorts and you're like, but I actually really like this one. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or if I have friends that did this one, you're in complete control. Not only that, after booking, you're in control of when you want to make the payment, how much you want to make the payment. There's no set plan. So there'll be a final due date. And then if you want to wait till the final due date to pay, that's fine. If you want to pay monthly, that's fine. You're still in complete control. It's just I'm there to help you, basically.
Yeah.
And I would say there is less travel agents than there was, but I think it's coming back. So after COVID, we have found that people want to travel. So when we were stuck and you couldn't go anywhere, people realized how important it is. I'm not promised forever. I want to see places. I want to show my kids places. So people are traveling more and more people are turning into like travel agent roles, especially the more you travel and you realize, like I can do this. I can help other people. I've been lots of places, my kids have been to 7 countries and they're 4 and 6.
Dang,
so it's
awesome.
not, and you think it's outrageous or that it's really hard. They travel better internationally than they do 30 minutes down the road in a car. So, people are wanting to travel. They're willing to pay the price. It's important to people, and I agree. I think, this is kind of going off topic, but when I go with my kids and my husband, and we go the 4 of us on a family vacation, when we come home, we are stronger as a family. We spent time together. We weren't on devices. We were engaging with each other in the ocean. We were doing dinner without devices. We were every day and all day was us four just together.
Right.
So when you get home from that, like your whole family's stronger. Same
Yeah.
if you go with your spouse or your significant other. Like you're dedicated to that time, just the two of you, without the world around you, without now your devices will work there. I recommend not being, but you don't want to be on them.
No.
You're talking, you're engaging, and when you get home from that, you're stronger. So
That's true.
Yeah. Well, and creating memories is a big thing for
Yeah.
me. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like, each one of those trips, I mean, your kids may only be 4 and 6. There may be some of these countries, if they don't go back, they may
Right.
not remember, whatever.
Right,
But
yeah, for
there
sure.
is a memory of a moment and a time. And that's where I think traveling does, like, positively impact all of our lives when you get a chance to do it. Anytime you get out of your bubble and see other, especially in another country, how these people live.
Yeah.
You learn so much.
Oh man, and I haven't even left the country yet. So I'm saying that. I mean, even just
Yeah.
from moving to Arizona and being in
Yeah.
California and Florida
yes,
and
different
yeah,
states is even huge. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Learning
then-
their culture. Yeah, you just learned that you're
Yeah.
so small, right?
Right. So Amy, you've been all over the world. What is a place on your bucket list that you have not been, but you really truly would like to get there at some point?
So, not crazy, but I really want to go to Costa Rica, which I will go. I'll make it there.
Sure.
Just because it's different, the excursions, the vegetation, the scenery. They have black sand beaches. It's just a different place. You know, it's still pretty popular. Lots of people go to Costa Rica. It's not crazy, but I just haven't made it there yet. And that's the next place on my list is to visit there and just to see. I think it's a lot different than other countries. Still have all-inclusive resorts, so still have that same, but just actually getting off the resort and seeing the country. It's a lot different than other places.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Brazil?
I have not.
Me neither.
No.
I might need
not-
your help to find my ticket to go in December.
Yeah. So I get a lot of that too. Flights even are overwhelming. Well, I can pull it up so I can look at dates. I can set parameters of like, oh, I don't want more than a 2-hour layover. I don't want to be more than a 9-hour flight. And it'll narrow it down to like, and then we can watch those flights. And then if price drops, I'll get an email and be like, hey, now's the time.
Right.
Let's book them.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
So I
and
had a
prices
question.
change like, oh my gosh.
And one thing
I
that
can't
I've
keep up.
that I've realized is that if I stay in Brazil only 10 days, the price is way higher than if I stay in Brazil for 25 days. 25 is way cheaper. I mean, having the flight back after
Yeah.
20 days. So, and that gives us more room to see like a couple different days and compare
Yeah.
pricing compared to when you're coming back as well. So, which is something
And it
that I
used to
like.
be like people, I get this a lot too. Flights. So it's cheaper to book flights on Tuesday, or it's cheaper to fly on a Monday, or
Yeah.
it's not true anymore. Like
Right.
I wish it was. I wish it was like, yes, if we wait till Monday, flights will be cheaper. Flights are, I mean, they'll go $500 to $1,000 within a day, and then drop back. Like it's just there's no rhyme or reason.
Is it a
So-
secret, or you can tell us where do you find the flights? Like, is it just a website? You go to,
Yes, so
the
there's
airline website?
One really easy one that you can use at home is Google Flights. So you can type that in there. You can use different. You can even put like, I will fly out of Chicago, Peoria, St. Louis, Moline. You can put all of those in there, and then your destination, sort by price, and it's going to bring you the best, or sort by best flight, and it's going to bring it up out of all the airports near you, all of the flights. So that's an easy thing you can do at home, and you can actually book straight from there. Google just launched this new thing where they guarantee price. So on some of them, it'll say like Google price guarantee. If you book through Google and the price drops, they'll drop it with you. They'll give you a refund.
Yeah, I use Google Flights a lot,
I've
but I
never
use
heard of
more.
it.
I use more Skyscanner. Have you heard?
Yeah, yep.
Skyscanner is very good, man.
Yeah.
You put what airport you want to fly from and where you want to land. It gives you all the options from all the different airlines, but then if you search by pricing, it will give you the best price. But then it's gonna say you need to stay 8 hours this.
Yeah.
you know.
Or 9 stops.
Right.
4
You gotta- you
stops.
gotta
I
go.
mean, but
36 hours to go somewhere you could have it nonstop in 2, but
No.
it's cheap.
See, my whole thing is that time is money. I don't,
Yeah,
and
I
especially
agree.
if you're traveling,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
do not want to waste even
Yeah.
an hour. I don't even like a layover. Now
Yeah.
we're shooting the dice on losing luggage.
Yes.
We're shooting the dice
Or
that this
missing the
plane is
flight.
late, and I'm not going to get to this one.
And then you have got it 2 that don't get delayed, or
Right.
2 that don't get canceled.
And you're sitting at the airport going, "Oh, I wanted to save $70."
Yeah.
Or you know
all
whatever.
stressed going to the beach.
Yeah, you know what? So like, don't if you're gonna travel and you're going to make this experience and this
Yes.
memory, like, just
It's
do
worth
it
it,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Don't cut corners.
Yes.
I mean, be a savvy consumer, but gosh, don't sit there and
And
nickel and dime
I
yourself to
usually
death.
help people with that too, you know, or they'll pull up on their cells and be like, but I can do this and it's $300 cheaper. I was like, but that's a 25-minute layover.
Right.
So like the chances that you're going to make that connection are very slim.
Right. You're gonna be
So
running
you can save some money, but if your flight is delayed by 1 minute, you're out. Like,
thousands then.
Like,
Or, you
yeah.
know, or, I mean, at that
Yes.
point, your time and
Yes.
everything.
So,
One
like,
thing that I
stuff
did
like
a
that
lot
is-
was running in the airport.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah.
to make from one gate to
See,
another.
I don't mess with that.
Yeah.
I really
that's
don't.
very stressful.
There's
Especially
nothing.
coming back into the country. You're going to go through immigration the very first airport you
Yes.
landed. So say I just when I came back from Jamaica, I flew through Peoria, but I lay over in Charlotte. So I had to go through immigration. If you have a checked bag, you have to get your checked bag, take it through security, recheck it, go through TSA. So if you only have an hour and the immigration line is 2,
Right.
you're missing it. I try to do at least 3 hours on that layover because
Yeah.
that gives you time to redo all that. But people don't realize that or don't understand that that's where you're going to go through immigration.
Yeah.
So
Coming
it's
from
important.
a flight from Brazil, landing in Miami, you're gonna stay 2 hours in immigration
Yeah.
easily.
For sure.
Because a lot of people are going to Disney.
Yes.
It's just a huge line.
I would almost never put Miami as a selection. Like, no way.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Charlotte's
know.
a good layover place.
Charlotte, yeah.
Pretty big airport, has a bunch of different places, and then like
Mm-hmm.
little tiny airports are better just because there's less people.
Right.
So like
You-
less people flying in from out of the country or less people. But yeah, that first stop is where you will uncheck your bag, grab it. You don't have to pay again, but you grab it, then you recheck it, and it's a process.
Yeah.
So
The airport's the last place I want to be, let alone like going there to another one in between my trip for another. I
and
just
redoing
don't-
all of TSA.
Yeah,
If you
I don't
don't have
get it.
TSA pre-check, you're taking
Yeah.
off your shoes again. You're putting your back to the scanner
Right.
again. You're doing all of that again.
Well, let's also talk. Okay, so you did a layover flight to save money. Now you're sitting in the airport for 4 or 6 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and what are you gonna do? You're gonna spend money.
Yep.
You know, you're gonna go
Spend
sit at a
$30
bar,
on
eat
a
some dinner.
Buy
Yeah.
$10
Yeah.
bottle of water.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean,
That's why you have your bottle you take with you.
yeah. By the way, I mental noted that.
Yeah, for
That was
sure.
so huge. I did.
For sure. Just
I
make
wrote
sure it's
that
empty
down.
when you go through, or you're gonna have
Yeah.
issues. But
Yeah.
And she always help when you. I'm just saying that because she helped me and Brian one day. We went to North Carolina. We had a flight to land there this day, and the next day we would come back to Mama to Peoria. I mean, and we finished all of our meetings in the first day. So we were trying to come home on the same day at night, and then Brian called Amy. And then Amy, after like 30 minutes, she said, "Your flights are already changed. You can fly tonight."
yeah.
Dang.
So this is the type of convenience.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
she
And they
can-
didn't have to. They could
and
just
then stay
drive and
overnight.
Yeah.
We
Right.
saved another night of a hotel time and everything.
Right.
And we did what we needed to
and it
do.
didn't cost.
Yeah.
Didn't
Not
cost
always-
anything.
That doesn't always happen, but in their
Right.
case, it didn't cost to move
Yeah.
it up.
That's
so it worked
awesome.
out well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what a great way to wrap up, I guess, if you
Yeah.
will. Amy Gaule, Waymaker Travel.
Yeah, awesome.
You guys give her a shout if you're looking to do any travel, whether it's domestic or international.
Yeah.
Don't do it on your own. You have someone right here who has
Yeah.
traveled to quite a bit of the world.
Yeah.
And make sure you get Costa Rica on that trip.
I will.
On your list.
I will. It is.
Thank you
very
again
much.
for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Amy
See you guys
Gaule,
next
guys that
week.
Talk About It podcast, Lauren Fulmer, Victor
Victor Dantas.
Dantas. I wanted to say it.
Okay, you say it.
I'm just kidding, you guys. Thank you. Have a good day.
See you guys.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Talk About It podcast.
I'm Victor Dantas.
I'm Lauren Fulmer.
And we would encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell. It's going to be right below the video. So you
Hit the
guys,
bell.
so you know when the next episode is up. All
We
right?
appreciate all the support.
Thank you.